Hi, I'm Dan.
I'm Heidi.
And this is Cheza.
We're really excited about this video that's going to teach you and your dog how to foot stall from the ground up.
Before we started to train this trick, we did what basically everybody else would do. We scoured YouTube.
We found just a few videos, but each of them featured an already trained dog with ultra experienced handlers and Frisbee world champions and the like.
And frankly, those videos aren't particularly helpful for beginners because they skip too many steps and they make it look easier than it really is. They also leave out important stuff like how to handle falls.
Our video breaks this trick down into fun, achievable steps. We've put timestamps below to help guide you too.
Let us know if you have any questions and share your successes in the comments.
And you can follow us on Instagram at Cheza the Trick Dog.
More importantly, please share this video with everyone you know who's interested in training this trick.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Dan and I created this video to break down a trick that can seem really intimidating into very thin slices that you can work on your own in succession. Some of the groundwork you can do in parallel, teaching multiple things at one time. This video is really long, and I know most people are not accustomed to watching a 30-minute video. What we've done is we've included timestamps so that you can look below and find the parts of it that you're working on and then move to the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. So this video is going to teach you how to do this trick from the very, very beginning all the way until the end.
And what's unique about this video is that we started filming it before our dog knew how to do these tricks. And so what you'll see in these videos is Cheza actually learning all of the steps as we taught them to her, whereas most videos on YouTube, they show you a dog that already knows how to do it all. So we think that this will provide a little bit more direction to people training their own dog. Our puppy's formal name is Cheza, which means play in Swahili. But just like your dog, our dog has a lot of nicknames. And one of her nicknames is Cozy P. Jammies. So you'll often hear us calling her Jammies or Jams, and sometimes we even do our training in our pajamas. If you're not familiar with clicker training, there's lots of resources online, and it's basically just a means of quickly and accurately rewarding your dog for good behavior.
Let's talk about a few training logistics before we get started with the video. The first thing is that Dan and I relied heavily on shaping to train Cheza to do a foot stall. And shaping is breaking down a complex behavior into smaller steps that build toward it. As Dan mentioned, all attempts are heavily rewarded by us, both in terms of food and praise, and that includes falls. And we'll have a section in this video where we talk about handling falls. We suggest practicing on softer surfaces, so don't do this in your concrete driveway or on packed mud or on a wooden floor. Try doing this on grass or a little bit of a softer surface because falls do happen.
Yoga mats are great.
We used high value treats, but not so high value that Cheza was losing her mind and couldn't focus. Because we found that when we used things like hot dogs, she would actually lose her balance because she just got too aroused. It's really, really helpful to have a partner to train this trick. So if you can enlist someone, that's great.
Although we do have a friend who's done it herself, so it can be done.
That's right. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where the dog jumps up and is only on the handler's feet for a split second and then they practically fall off. We believe that you want your feet to become a fun place for your dog to hang out, watch people go by, etc. Hence, we heavily focused on the pre-training of a foot stall before we actually got her up on our feet.
In our videos, we've chosen to leave the sound on. You'll hear us praising Cheza over and over again because we want to get her excited about the training. We want to get her excited about the trick. And so we very much encourage you to do the same. As Heidi's mentor said many, many times, Praise your dog, damn it. So what this trick is asking your dog to do is to launch up into the air and land firmly on the underside of your feet. It's quite acrobatic and, even potentially a little bit dangerous. Because of this, trust is critical. Your dog needs to trust that you're doing the right thing, and you need to trust that your dog is doing the right thing. And the way we build trust is we grow a relationship with our dog. We make each step of the process fun. We make each step of the process approachable, very small steps in order to build the overall trick. We want the dog to have a great time doing this all the way through, even when it makes mistakes.
I want to give a special shout out to the Canine Stars, a stunt dog group that Cheza and I have performed with several times. And on that group is an incredible trainer named Leroy Golden. And Leroy was the one that talked me through how to make the platform, suggesting that I use it, and getting us started on teaching this trick.
We also want to give a shout out and a little bit of an inspiration to all of you. On the Canine Stars is an amazing 13-year-old trainer by the name of Whitney, and she can do this foot stall with a 37-pound blue heeler. So it can be done. To make part of this trick easier for both the dog and the human under the dog, we devised a platform that helps improve stability as everybody is getting comfortable with this. So what we did is we took about a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, or this is some sort of synthetic wood, and cut it into a board a little bit larger than a pair of shoes. And then we screwed some old shoes into the bottom of the platform. Of course, don't let the screws go through the wood. But what this does is this allows the dog to have a little bit bigger target and allows the human to have a little bit more confidence in holding the dog steady. Now, if you make the board small, the dog has a smaller target, which is challenging. If you make the board too big, then the dog can go off on the side of it, and it's very, very hard for the human to maintain control. So you want this board, we think, just a little bit bigger than your shoes. So with a lot of things in dog training, you want your dog to be excited about what's going on. You want to create value in what's happening. Sometimes you want to create value in your dog balancing. Sometimes you want to create value in your dog jumping. In this case, we want to create value in the dog touching the platform. So we want to create value in the platform itself. So what we did is we just left this platform with the shoe side down, lying around the house, and every time she showed interest in it, we noticed we gave her a treat. This loaded up the platform to be an exciting place. When we train Cheza, we like to have the repetitions be about 5 to 7 repetitions. A lot more than that, your dog gets bored, sometimes can get overloaded, and sometimes it's just no longer fun.
A good measuring stick for us was when I sat on the floor to lace the shoes up on the platform, Cheza would come running to us from wherever she was, and she was really, really excited to train with the platform.
The next little slice is to get the dog up on the platform and, again, be rewarded. So you don't have to have your feet in the shoes. This is still just on the ground, just this platform just sitting there. But, lure your dog up, or however you choose, and get your dog up on that platform and give them treats so that they continue to find value in being there.
Also, when we left the platform on the floor after we started training Cheza to perch on it, she would voluntarily walk through the living room and sit on her platform and look at us for treats and rewards. So another tip for training this, we did a lot of this, all of this actually, using a clicker. So litter your house with clickers. Put clickers all over the place and reward your dog when they perch on this platform. Let's talk about front foot targeting. One of the most important steps in teaching this trick is to teach your dog how to put their 2 front feet on something, and we call that hang 10. So you can start with a small platform, you can start with a chair, you can start with your arm, anything that gets your dog to put its 2 front feet on something. So teach your dog the command hang 10, and then have them generalize it on to anything. So once you've taught your dog hang 10, put the board on your feet. And it's really weird because you're going to feel like your feet are in some kind of a straitjacket or something because you obviously can't move them around very much. But put the board on your feet and lie on your back, but keep the board low. And you can lure the dog up if you want to, but have them hang 10 or put their front 2 feet on the board. And once they've done that, of course, praise them, have a party. And when Dan talked about using emotion, I mean, you're going to see in this video, there's some Academy Award winning performances in here where we really, really use our emotion to praise Cheza. So once they've done a hang 10 on the board, then toss a treat, have them get it, and come back and do that over again. And make sure that they're proficient and understand hang 10 on the board before you move to the next step.
So obviously at the end of this trick, your dog is going to be on a small platform up in the air. And so one way to warm into this and to approach this trick is to first train your dog to find value and enjoyment in being on all kinds of small raised objects. So what we did with Cheza was when we went on walks, when we went to the park, around the house, we always looked for benches, chairs, picnic tables, something that she could jump up on easily, and then we could reward her. The smaller the better, within reason, of course.
Once your dog is comfortable on a small raised object for a few seconds, the next thing we want to do is increase the duration that they're on the object, or maybe you get them to shake or wave or sit pretty on the object or begin to move around on the object.
So we're not sure exactly how much moving around your dog is going to do on your feet. It depends on confidence of your dog and how big your dog is. But we do want your dog to be comfortable on these high perches. We want them to be mobile, flexible, not tense.
You want your dog to get used to balancing on all kinds of unstable objects. And we have a Bosu, and we have a Fit Bone, we have various balance discs that anytime she gets close to them or gets on them, she gets rewarded. So now she just automatically offers that kind of behavior. This will come in really handy when your dog jumps on your feet and maybe they miss with a foot or two. They're able to catch themselves and balance and not fall because they have such acute awareness of where their feet are. Teach them 4, then 3, then 2 paw pods, and then actually taking the 2 paw pods and moving them very close together, because that's effectively how they're going to be standing on your feet.
The back stall is a pretty tough trick in its own right, but for us, it's just a step in the progression to the foot stall. And the important thing here is that you want your dog to have fun climbing on you. In fact, you are a piece of furniture. So here we've got Heidi down on her knees and her hands, making her back a nice level platform. And then we lure Cheza up onto her back and then get her to sit, maybe sit pretty if she can, and then turn around just a little bit, spin, and all of this is getting Cheza comfortable on Heidi's back, on an unstable platform.
After Dan and I did all of the pre-work and began to work on this trick in earnest, so building the platform forward, it took us 113 days to train Cheza how to foot stall completely on her own, just Cheza and myself. And it may take you longer, it may be quicker for you. There's no right or wrong. You just have to find your way with your dog. In the beginning, when we started training sessions with Dan lifting Cheza onto the platform, we had her do something that she was familiar with and successful with for several weeks beforehand, and that was hang 10 on the platform. So you notice we asked her to hang 10 a few times, and she's really happy and excited about that. And then we transitioned to Dan actually lifting her onto the platform.
Oh, very good.
Maybe throw one.
This is the very first time that Dan lifted Cheza onto the platform. And you can notice in this video how unsteady I was. And Cheza was pretty happy up there, but it was hard for me in terms of trusting her up there and trusting Dan. I want to share the whole training session with you. This is one entire training session from beginning to end. And you can see how it went, how I got a little bit more stable through the course of it, and how we just kept it short and sweet and then ended it on a high note and had a celebration.
You're so good. Oh my goodness, you're so good.
Good girl.
You're very good.
Babies fly. Yay.
Good
girl.
Oh, you're so good.
Here's the view from Heidi. You can see Cheza's a little bit unsteady. That's all right. Heidi's a little bit unsteady, but we're all practicing. I'm right there. I've got my arm loosely around her in case she loses balance. I've got some treats in my hand to reward her. They're not crazy high-value treats, though, because I don't want her to lose her mind and lurch towards my hand. I also have my fist closed, so again, she doesn't lurch towards my hand to get those treats. I give them to her on my own schedule.
Here we are on day 23 of our training a foot stall, and I have the platform on my feet. I'm going to ask Cheza to hang 10 a few times before Dan lifts her, and what changes in this video is that I begin to reward her instead of Dan.
Jammies, fly.
Yay! Good girl. What a good girl you are. Good girl. Good girl. Very good. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Very good. Good girl. Good girl, Jammies. Good girl. Good girl.
Good girl, Jammies. Very good.
Off.
Very good. Off. Just a little progression here from the last clip. In this next series of videos, I'm holding my arms a little bit further out, still spotting Cheza, but giving her a little bit more freedom to wobble around, Heidi a little bit more freedom to balance, and building everybody's confidence.
Very good. Girl. Good girl. What a good girl you are. You're so good. You are so good.
On day 33, Dan lifted Cheza onto the platform from a plyo box, which was a little bit different. She was closer to the platform in this case, and we did not ask her to hang 10 first. You'll notice that Dan is spotting her, but she has less and less balance support. I'm getting a lot more steady. She's getting more confident.
You're very smart.
Do you want to ask her to SIT?
Yes. Okay. You support her. You sit.
Good girl.
Oh my gosh!
Yay, Jammies.
You're so good! Oh my goodness, you're a genius! You're so good! You're so good! Look at you! You're so good!
Ready? Off. Good girl. In this progression, I'm still lifting Cheza up onto the platform, but I'm giving her a little bit more space. I'm letting my arms drop to my side and letting her work it out. I am close enough that when she slips, I can grab her, but I'm giving her more and more freedom, if you will. We're also doing this training event in a completely different space. This is a park well outside of town to train her to be comfortable doing this trick anywhere.
Did she really just do that?
James.
Jim, sit.
James, sit. Good girl. That's good.
After a week of Dan giving Cheza more space to work out her balance on her own on the platform, this is the very first time that we tried Dan lifting Cheza onto my feet without the platform. And you can see in this video, it's almost like I'm going back to square one when I put the platform on and my feet were very, very unsteady. So I'm a bit unsteady here, but Dan's right there to help Cheza balance, to reward her a lot. He rewards her a lot. And she's happy up there despite its unsteadiness and unevenness. And this was a challenge that, like I mentioned with the platform, it just got easier and easier for us with practice.
Good girl, Jammies. Good girl. Very good. Good girl. Good girl. You're so good. Good Jammies. Good Jammies.
Okay. Off.
Up.
Yay!
You're so
This video is pretty similar to the last one. I'm lifting her up onto Heidi's feet without the platform. I am spotting her, giving her lots of rewards, making this an enjoyable experience for everybody as we all practice our balance.
You're so good. Yay! You're so good, James. You're so good, Jammies. Good girl. What a good girl you are. What a good girl you are. You're such a good girl.
Here we're going to mix things up a little bit. We've been lifting Cheza up onto Heidi's feet in kind of the ultimate end product here, the regular foot stall. But again, to make some of these steps a little bit easier for Cheza, we're going to switch gears and we're going to spend a little bit of time working on a prone foot stall, which is Cheza jumping up onto Heidi's feet, but at a much lower elevation.
When we taught Cheza the prone foot stall, we started by Dan lifting her onto my feet, and then the next step was having her walk from the plyo box onto my feet. This is the very first prone foot stall I did with Cheza all on my own without Dan's help. And I had her walk off an oak bench in the backyard onto my feet, which she very happily did because by this time she has so much value for standing on my feet and she knows that it's fun and she's going to get rewarded.
Good girl. You're so good. Stand. Good Jammies. Good girl. Very good.
This next video shows the very first time that Cheza jumped up onto Heidi's feet all on her own. So to get this done, we got her pretty amped up. Of course, she loves being up there, but we wanted to get her excited and confident. We also gave her a little bit of a running start, probably a little too long of a running start. But as you can see, she navigated it pretty well and Heidi held her feet in a good position.
Here my assistant is my friend Paul, who's a dog trainer, and you can see Cheza's not quite confident enough to perform the foot stall, so what she's offering instead is a hang 10, and neither one of us get frustrated or upset with her. We continue to encourage her, and what we ultimately decide is to back up a step and do a prone foot stall instead.
So the regular foot stall didn't work, and so we backed up a slice to something that we've been successful with in the past, which is the prone foot stall, and there it is, success. Success breeds more success and makes everyone more confident. So now we're going to try the regular foot stall again. Paul's getting her amped up, getting her all excited. Remember, she's never successfully done this, and so let's see what happens. Nope. Almost, but not quite. So she's still doing the hang 10. She's not quite confident enough to take the first full jump. Now we're going to have another try. Offer a lot of treats. And let's see how this one goes. And there we go. The first one, and yet there's a fall. You can see that Heidi's feet aren't very horizontal. They're a little bit too sloped. And it was tough for Cheza to hang on. So in the progression of building this trick, Cheza did have a few small falls, and there's one in this next sequence. And the way we decided we wanted to treat falls was not something to be afraid of for us. We didn't want to scold her. We didn't want to make her afraid. So we giggled and we laughed. We didn't reward it quite like a successful jump, of course. So we don't want her thinking that the fall is the goal, but we don't want her to be afraid of the falls either.
To that end, we didn't turn off our emotion. We didn't ignore the fall. We didn't get concerned when she fell. We acted honestly kind of silly and stupid when she fell. And so to this day, she's not afraid of falling. Falling is simply part of this process and part of doing this trick.
All right, so let's try it again. Handler and dog try to do a little bit better. And we have success. Hopping up, there we go. Heidi's feet are a little bit too sloped. Didn't quite hold on, but making good progress.
Here we are trying again the next day, and we've realized something that works very well for Cheza is for me to start in a prone foot stall so she can gain some confidence and be rewarded, and then turn over onto my back and do a foot stall on my back. Now you'll see in the back foot stall that I'm still struggling to get my feet in a position that support her properly, so she can't quite hang on.
So here we are in our backyard, trying the foot stall, the regular foot stall again, and I give her some good encouragement, get it lined up. Heidi's feet are pretty good. Oh, and there's a fall. So Heidi's feet are pretty good, but it's still a work in progress, and so she had a little slip. We have fun with it anyways. So then we back up, try the prone foot stall again. There we go, looking good, looking good. Success, wagging, everybody's happy, everybody's confident. So that's a good, always to fall back on that and be successful. And so then we go back to the regular foot stall again. Good jump. Heidi's feet are okay, a little bit too slanted, but okay. Cheza's got more confidence. I'm feeding her so she doesn't have to lurch at me. We get her to sit, which is nice. I'm trying to give her treats where she can maintain her balance and not twist to go after the treats too much. You can see she's up there for quite a while now. Her stance is okay. So another day, and we'll try the regular foot stall again. Get her amped up, get into place with the treats, encourage her to jump up. Good jump. Oh, but then there's a fall. Heidi's feet were pretty good on that one, but there was still a slip. Now we've got, Heidi's feet are actually atrocious here, no offense, but Jams is holding on very nicely, and look, Heidi's trying to correct her feet a little bit. She's seated, which is fine. We like to do it seated and standing. She's getting lots of treats. Very stable now. No real wobbling, which is helpful. And yes, I'm in my pajamas. So another day, a little bit more practice. Here we are. Oh, look at that clean jump. Feet are in good position. I'm trying to feed her where she doesn't have to lurch. She doesn't have to twist. We're giving her medium value treats so she doesn't freak out. Everybody's doing pretty well. This is a really good long duration foot stall. Should I get her to go OFF?
Okay, you could ask for this.
Sorry? Now we're seated, so we're practicing that a little bit. And that we did that on command, and now we encourage her to stand up. Sometimes she doesn't want to go back into the stand, so we just try to encourage that. And then we don't want her to jump off on her own decision. We want that to be a command, so we use off. See, she jumps up and slips and saves it. So she's learning her balance very well on the bottom of Heidi's feet.
This is a really good example of why it pays off to invest in all of the pre-work in this video.
Yeah, but I want to bring my legs down.
Let me know when you're ready.
Good girl, Jammies! Good girl!
Here we are at day 109 of training, and we are still starting with a prone foot stall. You can see how confident Cheza is jumping up there and how I am getting really used to holding her up and keeping my feet steady. And Dan is continuing to reward her. You can see how happy she is to be up there in a sit, in a stand, and then when we ask her to get off, it's on command using the word off. I turn over onto my back and she jumps right up there without any hesitation. And Dan is continuing to reward her. You can see that I kind of lose it with my feet a little bit, but she's really confident up there. Again, another reason to invest and take the time in the pre-work that we have in this video. And we're working on duration here, and then working on the dismount as well. As Dan said, we want the dismount to be on command and not just whenever she wants it to be.
So good. You want to get her to SIT?
Good girl! Good girl!
Good girl, Jammies. Good girl. Good stand. Yay! That was really good. That was really good. Okay. Stay. Stay, Jammies. Okay. So here we have a successful foot stall, but you can see that Heidi's feet are very horizontal, which gives Cheza a pretty awkward target to hit. She actually manages to claw her way up there and does just fine. But both Heidi and Cheza need to practice, and that's why we're doing this and kind of day after day, because every angle is going to be a little bit different, every approach is going to be a little bit different, and we want both of them to be successful even with those slight differences.
And you can see that I'm practicing raising and lowering my legs as well. So you can see in the angle of my knee that it increases and decreases. That said, I've seen some people do a foot stall where they keep their legs completely straight. I would not recommend that because it puts you in a very disadvantageous position and also unnecessarily loads your back. So I suggest bending your knees. All right, it's the big day, day 113. Let's see what happens. So I'm deciding to be brave. I'm in the backyard all by myself. Dan isn't here to help. I ask her to jump and she jumps right onto my feet. She's completely confident. She's happy. I'm confident with her up there. You can see that I'm extending and bending my legs. And what's important here is that we've gotten her to a point where my verbal praise is enough from her. I can't really reward her from this angle. It's a bit awkward. So she's just working off of my praise here. And when I want her to get off, I throw a treat in back of my head and then I tell her to get off.
So here's Heidi practicing once again by herself. Cheza makes a pretty clean jump, and now she's just looking around. All of the work that we did to get to this point, all the small slices, all the confidence building, all the praise, has resulted in her being, she's pretty comfortable up there right now. She's wagging a little bit, she's looking around. Heidi's getting her to sit and to stand. And everybody's doing very well. Now, when we get to the dismount, one of the things that Heidi did start practicing is to try to bend her legs a little bit more in anticipation of the dismount so that Cheza has a little bit smaller of a jump that she has to land. That's just for ergonomics.
Good girl! Good Jammies! Good Jammies!
Dan and I have mentioned that we practice foot stalling with Cheza in lots of different locations when we were training and after she's mastered the trick. So we go to parks. This is a local park by our house. I've also taken her to the University of Texas and done a foot stall with her in front of the tower on a day when campus was empty. And so she's now reached a point where she will do this trick anywhere and everywhere, which is just lovely and a testimony to doing all of the pre-work, as we've said, and investing the time in making her very, very comfortable on my feet.
Thanks for watching. We hope you learned a lot, and Cheza hopes you have a really fun time training your dog.
Please leave any questions you have in the comments, and we look forward to seeing your progress. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Cheza the Trick Dog.
Bye now.
Bye.
Oh, good girl.